All right, so today I am going to be talking about my experience going to physical therapy, PT, for my shoulders. So starting around probably January of this year, I started having a loss of range of motion in my shoulders. Lifting my arm, probably to even here, both of them, probably to even just here, was incredibly painful. I couldn't lift my arm forward. I definitely could not lift my arm backward, and I had just lost a huge range of motion. And so to bring it back even further, about a year ago, I also was having really bad pain when I lifted my arms, especially when I was sleeping. Something was wrong with my shoulders. And so a year ago, I ended up getting an x-ray and they diagnosed me with a shoulder impingement at that time. And so a year ago, I went to PT for a shoulder impingement. I had really intense PT that I ended up not graduating because it was right before my endometriosis surgery. I was in so much abdominal pain, and so any exercises that I did actually increased my abdominal pain. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up having to stop that PT, and then I had my endometriosis surgery, and it just kind of got lost. But my shoulders didn't really feel better, but at that time my shoulder impingement, I just couldn't continue the PT. So fast forward to, like I said, this January, I kind of got a loss of range of motion again. And I was like, all right, I feel like my shoulder impingement is back. Now last year, I think I only had shoulder impingement in one shoulder. I think it was my right shoulder, but I was kind of having the same, symptoms. So I figured, okay, I just have a shoulder impingement in both shoulders. Now, on March 3rd of this year, I also started having all the autoimmune stuff that happened where all of the joint pain turned on in my body at once, kind of putting off going to the doctor for the loss of range of motion in my shoulders. And the reason I was pushing it off was because the PT hadn't helped last year. It had really only made things worse. But I think the key was that the PT was too aggressive last year. So anyway, when I started having the joint pain, they did some x-rays on certain joints in my body. One of them was my shoulders, and what they discovered was that I have osteoarthritis in both shoulders, which is crazy considering usually they say osteoarthritis in people who are a lot older because osteoarthritis is a wear and tear disease. And I am not, an intense athlete, so, I should not have osteoarthritis in my shoulders. So that was a shock in and of itself, but they ended up deciding, hey, we think you should go back to PT. Thankfully, what I did this year is I said, you know what? I want to try a new PT place. My PCP recommended a new PT place that is absolutely my favorite place, and I think it made all the difference was going to this place. Now, it is so much quieter. The last place that I went to, it was so loud. They had a ton of PTs, and then it was also a university. So you would maybe check in with the PT, but usually it was just a student who was learning, and they would have you do everything. At this place, it is the PT the whole time, which is amazing. And it's just so much quieter. There's usually 1 or 2 PTs there, usually not more than that. And they have a new patient every half hour. So it's so much quieter. At the last PT place I went to, they literally had someone who was very vocal, on certain exercises, he would go, push, 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 push. And he would just be yelling. And so it was a very loud and overwhelming environment for me, who gets overstimulated very easily. And so this PT, I love it. I love the environment. It's so much quieter. My PT, without me asking, has worn a mask every time I've come in. I love her so much because I'm wearing a mask, and I went through all my health stuff with her, and she said she has a lot of patients with chronic illness. And so she is so understanding, and I think the approach that has helped my shoulders go from super painful to huge range of motion now and feeling so much better is that she listened to me being look, I get post-exertional malaise, so if I push too hard, 2 days after, I feel so much worse. I will do the exercises at home, but I do also need to listen to my body and not push myself. And she has just been incredible shout out to my PT. She has just been so like adaptive, and when some of the first exercises, I was getting sore, I was doing it twice a day, we decided to pull back to once a day, and she's just been so accessible. So most people go to PT 2 to 3 times a week, and I said, look, I just cannot do that. I will religiously do my PT exercises at home though, I promise. I just cannot come in because I can only do like one thing a day. And so when I go into PT, that's the thing I do that day. It's just that exhausting for my chronic fatigue. And so she listened to that, and so we've been doing once a week, which has just been amazing. And I do my PT every single day. She's just been so good at listening to me and adapting. Oh my gosh, she's just been absolutely amazing. And so I have officially graduated from my shoulder PT because I was so dedicated to doing the exercises every day. And what I love is that when I would go in to get PT, she would do kind of like a massage on both my shoulders to loosen them up, so that when I did the exercises there, it didn't hurt as much. It helps loosen me up with my range of motion. I talked to her about cupping, like she does cupping, she does dry needling. And so, we were just talking about all these like different things that could kind of help my shoulders. But she is just so sweet. She actually, this is what I love about like a small PT, not kind of a big like university one, but literally she had wrote a handwritten like letter in the mail after the first time I came in, or like a little card being like, so great meeting you, I'm so excited to help you on your journey, see you soon, or something. So nice. It was incredible. So I graduated after probably 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, just because I was so dedicated and making such great strides. The funny part was like at the beginning, I didn't feel like I was making like a ton of progress, but then at the very end, in the last like 2 to 3 weeks, it was just like, wow. It just felt like something clicked and switched and completely changed, and my range of motion is so much better now. So that was like an incredible experience. So I graduated my shoulder PT, but I'm still seeing my same PT for tendonitis, or technically tendinopathy, in both of my Achilles, which they found when they did an ultrasound on my joints because I had pain in my Achilles. So now we've graduated to that, which I'm just so grateful to be able to see this PT and have her on my health team now, because I trust her, she listens, we're going at a pace that's really good for my body, and now she knows a little bit more about my body and how it reacts to things. And so I'm so grateful to be able to go to her for these other things too. Like she's trained in, I think she said she's trained in everything but pelvic floor PT, which I did earlier this year. Next I have to do, the Achilles PT, which shouldn't be too long. Those I'm only doing 2 exercises a day, but twice a day. Whereas the shoulder, I think I have almost like 10 exercises that I do once a day now. And then once my Achilles is healing correctly and in a good place, then I need to do TMJ PT. So it's gonna be a journey. I have 9 exercises that I need to keep doing basically for the next 3 months, she said, to do these 9 exercises, trying to do them once a day. Once the 3 months hits, then I could try, she gave me like the top 3 that she'd really like to see me going forward do. This I think has been great to like strengthen my arms without pushing them too hard. And so we've like kind of gone very slowly at increasing and adding these different things. I don't know if you can hear that, but my shoulder clicks every time I do that motion, and she said that unfortunately is probably the arthritis. Once you have osteoarthritis in a joint that is degrading that joint, you can't reverse the damage that's already been done. The most we can do is just try to strengthen the joints and keep them strong so that it's not degrading them further. So I'm very excited to continue doing these exercises, and they're very chill. We've also kind of been working on the TMJ pain, but with the neck. It's all connected, right? Your shoulder is connected to your neck. So I have a lot of neck pain, and my posture can not be good, which can also affect my shoulders. So like one of my exercises is to go like this. You turn your head and then you turn and look up. And then you do that, on each side, and you hold for 10 seconds. So that was really helping, I think, my neck muscles, which hopefully will help my posture to help my shoulders and help kind of my TMJ pain. And then, I'll do some exercises on the floor with like a cane, like lifting it, and some ones like this too. And I have noticed just such a difference. Like I said, my range of motion, like I I can go all the way up, and that was not happening before, like without pain too, which is just, oh my gosh, I've just noticed such a difference in all of the exercises, but then just in my daily life. Like I could reach for something, you know what I mean? So it has been such a good experience, and I wanted to make this video because I have always had such a negative connotation with physical therapy, because I have been in and out of physical therapy almost my whole life. When I was younger, so this kind of goes with the Achilles problem, I got tendonitis in one of my Achilles after trying to learn to ski. Horrible idea, don't do that. And I got tendonitis in my Achilles, and I had to be in a boot for like 3 months. So the Achilles have been an ongoing problem. Honestly, most of my joints have been. And I have been in and out of PT, and I never felt like it worked for me. And this is the first time, that's why this is so life-changing for me, because this is the first time where it has worked. And not only has it worked, I want to go back to work on these other body parts, to work on my Achilles now, to work on my TMJ pain, because I trust her. I've seen the results, and I've never gotten results before. And she is so respectful of my health and respectful of how my body works, because it is slower than other people's bodies. It does work differently, but at the same time, we've gotten the same results, you know, like we've been able to help these things. So I am just so grateful for this PT. She is absolutely incredible, and I'm so grateful to be able to go to her now for my Achilles and then for my TMJ pain. I, up until this point, have never liked PT, never wanted to go to PT. It was always a drag. It was never fun because I never saw results. So I was like, this feels like a waste of time and energy and money. And I don't feel like that anymore with this PT. So it is possible to find a PT who, one, listens to you and really adapts to your needs. The PT I saw last year, I think they, again, it was students who are working with you, really. I mean, how can they, you know, really adapt to your needs? So working with this PT has just been an incredible experience. I cannot say that enough, because just up until this point, it has not been a good experience for me. And so I wanted to make this video to be like, look, you can make a difference in your health. And if you've been putting off something like going to PT, first of all, finding the right PT for you is so important. So I have been going to Ivy Rehab Network. I don't know if all of their people are as amazing as mine is, but I have just been blown away by how incredible they are. And I think they're like across the country, but it's just such a smaller PT feeling, and I love it. So that was my story of going to physical therapy for loss of range of motion in my shoulders, also osteoarthritis, which is crazy. And this is kind of my success story. And just encouraging you to try to find a PT that works with you, and then you can see some great results. So very, very grateful that I've discovered the PT of my dreams, and I can't wait to keep going to her for these other body parts that need support. And so yeah, thanks for listening, friends. Oh my gosh, I have so many fun videos coming up, and I'm just so grateful for all of you to be here on the journey. And like, this is good news, you know, like finally we're getting some health good news, because a lot of my videos are like, well, that didn't work again for my health. But this is something that has helped and continues to help, and I'm very grateful for it. So shout out to PTs who really listen to their patients and work with them on this, and shout out to people for going to PT, because it can be scary, it can be nerve-wracking if you've never been before, or just trying to find the right one. And so it's brave to go to PT for some of us who have had some not so good experiences in the past, but it's possible. It's possible to find your dream PT. So thank you so much for listening, my friends, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!